So I am talking to Temidayo Oniosun, and he is from Space in Africa. So lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, same here.
Well, I'm interested to hear your views on, Space in Africa hosted its forum in Angola, focusing on the role of space in closing Africa's poverty gap, which is an interesting subject. So what were your main takeaways from that event?
Basically, the goal of the conference is to highlight how African countries at the national level and at the continental level are capitalizing on space technology and data to address a lot of the sustainable development goals and, poverty inclusive. So how they're leveraging on space technology to improve sectors like agriculture, like mining, how they're creating new jobs, new industries, innovating, and all of that.
Well, you are a private company. Can you tell us a little bit more about Space in Africa?
Yeah, we are a private company headquartered in Lagos, Nigeria. We have an European office in Estonia. We are an analytics and consulting company focusing on the space and satellite industry in Africa. We work very closely with African government institutions, from national agencies to ministries to the African Union Commission, to develop policy and strategy around the national space program. We work with a lot of international partners like the European Commission to also, explore opportunities in the African market. And we do a lot of work with the commercial space industry to explore opportunities in the market.
Well, so is there a Pan-African strategy for space?
Absolutely. We have the African Space Policy and Strategy, which is a brainchild of the African Union Commission. This is the precursor to the establishment of the African Space Agency, which is a continental space program, which, African Union Commission has all the African countries as a member state. So this is African Space Agency is sort of like a continental, driven space program.
So which African countries are in space? Now, I know about Nigeria, I know about Rwanda, a little bit about South Africa and its satellites, and it's also monitoring space. So which African countries are really making strides in space?
Currently, we have about 22 African countries that have either established a space program or in the process of establishing one. Of course, they are at different level of development. You've got the big players like Egypt, like Nigeria, like Algeria, and South Africa, who have developed and launched multiple satellites, and they've had national space program for several years. You've got relatively new countries like Angola, like Kenya, like Rwanda, that are also now making a lot of investment in their national space program. And you've got, new entrants like Uganda, Zimbabwe, Djibouti, Namibia, Botswana. The right now they're looking at setting up national space program.
Well, that name Zimbabwe, I caught the name Zimbabwe. What are they doing?
Zimbabwe, they've launched a satellite, and right now they're actually working on developing a couple of more satellites. The space program is specifically focused on geospatial application and intelligence.
So do you find for African countries, they sometimes find themselves between a rock and a hard place because of the geopolitical issues between some of the major countries in the world? How does an African country navigate that and still get the benefit from the space technology that is out there?
That's a good question. I don't think they're caught in between, two options. I think for a lot of the countries and even the continental space program, they have the liberty of making whatever choice they want. So whether they want to work with China or they want to work with Russia or they want to work with the US or Europe, it doesn't matter. And what we're actually seeing is the space diplomacy arrangement in Africa is sort of like omnidirectional. African countries would typically work with everyone and anyone, and we have examples of several countries like South Africa as an example. South Africa is a member of BRICS. And they've got a lot of space cooperation with China, even with Russia, they are signatory to the China and Russia-led ILRS, but also they've got space cooperation with the U.S. They're hosting a lot of space infrastructures that are contributing to NASA mission and all of that. Another example is Angola. Angola recently signed the Artemis Accord, the U.S.-led Artemis Accord, but Angola's last satellite was developed by Russia. And right now they're in the process of signing, another satellite agreement with an European company. So, African countries are open to working with everyone and anyone as long as, there is values for both partners.
But South Africa, who says it's non-aligned, is often accused that it's not, especially by America. America has said that before, and there was strife because of that. So how should countries like Angola and South Africa navigate geopolitics in space? What should they do?
Personal opinion or generally right now, I think the model works fine for everyone. If you're bringing geopolitics into, space program development, at the end of the day, the countries are going to make the decisions that are best for them. So if the West provides a better cooperation, they'll go with the West. If it is China, if it is Russia, they'll go with them. And I think this model works fine. This model also, sort of like push the West to see Africa as a more strategic partner for space program development. Because for US, for example, up till now, US has not actually seen Africa as that strategic partner. But seeing what Africa is doing with Russia, with China, that is, sort of like making the US say, oh, you know what, we need to be serious about this region. So this is a much better approach. Also, it provides opportunity for African countries to have options, and it's good to have options. So you can make the best decision for yourself.
So do you see your company as a go-between between, a company that wants to do something, say in an African country, say in Nigeria, and one of the global space players? I see you advise the Angolan Space Agency in its deployment of its latest satellite, which was jointly developed by RSC Energy and a Russian space company. So do you see yourself as a go-between between companies and the major space players?
Absolutely, that's the strategic role that we actually play in the industry. We have very good relationship with a lot of the African governments up to the African Union Commission level. We developed the baseline studies for the establishment and operationalization of the African Space Agency, which was done by the African Union Commission. We worked on several national space policy and strategy for a lot of the African countries. We publish analytical reports about the industry. In fact, if you go online to search for any data about the industry, you end up on our platform. And so we play this very strategic role in the industry where we're able to work with all of the partners to create values. We work with government institutions. At our last conference, we had a large delegation that was led by the U.S. Office of Space Commerce, to also explore opportunities and collaborative opportunities in the industry. And we do a lot of work with private companies from everywhere in the world to also explore business opportunities in the market. So yeah, that's the strategic role that we play.
So what were your key takeaways from the discussions that you had today?
The key takeaway is, first of all, it's very nice of the Meridian International Center to invite us to this event. It's another testament to the fact that the U.S. government and U.S. institutions are beginning to look at Africa as a strategic partner for global space program development. So this is one key takeaway, and we're appreciative of that. Beyond that, it's also showed that there is a lot more work that needs to be done. There is a lot of opportunities for both the U.S. government and the African government to explore diplomatic relationships, with respect to space. Even beyond space. Geopolitics today, space play a very key role in this, and this is an opportunity for the U.S. government to to leverage on space technology in order to build better relationship with the African continent.
Is that how you see the role of Africa? To be sort of in this non-aligned possession, to bring those parties closer together?
I mean, yeah, that's one role that Africa can play. But beyond that, Africa is, you have to see the region beyond just being a tool for geopolitics. It's beyond that. It's you have to see Africa as a technology partner. You have to see Africa as an economic partner. And the African space market today is worth about $20 billion. So there is a lot of economic value in the industry for different players. I mean, if you take the satellite market, in the last 20 years, African countries have spent about $5 billion to acquire satellite technology. And over 2 billion of these went to French companies. So you can see that there is a lot of economic values in the value chain. Chinese companies have attracted contracts close to $1 billion, way beyond what the US have gotten from Africa. So, Africa is more than a geopolitical tool. It's a strategic economic partner. It's a strategic technology partner. African companies have built and manufacture critical technologies that have been on NASA mission and some of the, world biggest space missions. So, there's a lot that Africa can offer.
Mr. Oniosun, thank you so much for speaking to us.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.